Welcome and welcome back, guys. So this is another After Effects tutorial, and in this one what we're going to be doing is editing text, editing type. Sort of looking at some the beginner fundamentals, but really applying on those to make them look fancy. Here is what we are going to go for. So 852 tutorials, obviously you've come here, you recognize that. We're going to break this text into two types, two parts. So we've got 852 and tutorials. And what we want is the tutorials to fly in from the right and bounce off our 852, giving it a springy sort of look. And let's jump straight in and get started, shall we? So we're going to create a new composition and set that new composition to HD or whatever you wish, actually. And you'll notice here I'm working at 60 FPS. Let's face it, 60 FPS just looks nicer than 30 FPS, so that's why I'm going for that. And I'm going to go for a nice bright blue sort of background, just for the text. And 3 seconds is actually going to be sufficient for me. So there we go, ready. We're ready to go. In fact, I don't know why I went for that background, because I'm going to recreate it as a solid later on when I put a light over it. Will that work? Cool. Alright, I'm going to lock that off with the padlock down here, just so I can no longer edit that and mess with it, because I don't want to. I want to just leave that as that for now, because I want to jump in and start doing the text, the important part. So, just going to type that, and all you do is grab the T up here, or Control T, and type, and let it do its magic. So we've got over here, we've got paragraph and character. My font, I'm already happy with my font. The size, however, might change, might bump up a little bit, make it look a bit more exciting. Excellent. And I'm going to do the same for the second part. And let's place these in to roughly where we want the end point. What is our final goal here? Yeah. Maybe grab both actually, move them left a touch. If you hit Control R, you can bring out the ruler, just drag from above and drop it down, make sure you're happy, and I'll tell you what, for freehand that's pretty good. So I'm going to get rid of my rulers and don't need that anymore. Awesome, so what we've got here is our endpoint. So 2 seconds, I'm going to press P and bring up position for both of them and drop a keyframe down. Those are in our final points that we want. So let's start with the tutorials part, shall we? Let's grab that and just drag it to the right. If we hold shift, it'll move in a straight line as opposed to a wavy one, a diagonal one. And that's going to come through. It's nice and slow. So let's go to about 40 frames and have it come all the way in. But before we are in, I want it to overlap a little bit. In fact, we'll take this one and we'll push that into about here and hold that for a minute while you crunch up and coil up all that energy and shoot out a bit. We actually need a bit more space over here. Shoot out and settle back down. So there's a bit of bounce. You see that bounce here? Because what it's trying to do is it's trying to create smooth paths, and we don't want that. So I'm going to right click, keyframe interpolation, and set that to linear. Let's see, and come in, scrunch, bounce. Excellent. So we really want to sell this, and this forms part of the animation principle, squash and stretch, a very famous technique. If you don't know the animation principles, definitely worth looking into if that's your sort of thing. So when we get to the bottom, about here, we are going to want to apply this squash, the squash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my tutorials text, and I've got a whole bunch of options here. But what I want is on the right side, there's a little arrow. I'm going to click in that and say tracking. And that's going to pull up a bunch of options. Now, you see if I roll this left and right, it's going to pretty much do the work for me. So before we squash, let's get to 100%. Happy point, and set a keyframe. Set a keyframe. I'm just going to press U for now so I can see both parts. So we want to be 100% just before we hit, and when we're hitting here, we are going to, so let's change this tracking amount, and about there. See how that looks. So come in, come in, come in, squash, squash, squash. In fact, I think we squashed too much there. Let's get rid of that and pull this one right. So in, squash, as it pushes up the energy and fly straight out, stretch out this time, go out even further than usual, and then out, and then subtly come back down to perfect, into a 0 point. What we could do actually is we could even stretch it a bit this side. Might look a bit more fun. And let's rewind, give that a play. Not bad. I think some of the timings are a bit off. Like for example, it comes in really slowly. So let's grab these parts here and hold Alt and stretch them out a bit. Nice. Shall we tweak any of those? Are we happy with them? I think the bounce out's probably a little bit too fast. So let's zoom in a bit, just so we can get a better view of our frames. Squash, coil up, bounce out, and subtly back down. I feel like maybe I'm pushing too far out. Maybe I should be going further away. But I don't actually want to leave the screen again. And drop. Nice. Cool. But we're not done there. We want to sell this a little bit more. So we're going to go in and we're going to use another tool in here called Skew. And Skew is a bit more simple. Let's throw down some keyframes. So we've got our final point, our 100% point. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Just press U just so I can see all my things together. And what Skew does is what it should do is rotates and pulls. So I mean, you can see that our text already skews inwards, just like it was italic. But that's just part of the font that I'm using. So around this point, what I would like to do is skew a little bit more, just so it's going to look like we're moving with a bit of speed. And as we get close and start to crash, we're going to skew upwards, because what's going to happen is it's going to force the weight of it is going to push us in and up. So in, maybe go to about -10, so it looks a bit lively. In and almost straight back out to 0. In fact, let's go a bit further than 0 because we're selling out. We want to sell the motion. Let's see how that looks. Pretty nice. Let's try it again. I mean, this needs to come in a bit, make the positional movement a bit faster. Yeah. And we're gonna one more part as well. Probably actually should have come inwards a bit more. No, that'll do for now. Might make a few tweaks later. One more thing that I would like to do is in the transform, and we're going to use the scale. So as we squash inwards, not much, but I would just like to scale the height. So what I've done here is untick this, otherwise it'll scale dynamically both width and height. And maybe go up to about 110. I should get a little bit more there. And then back down to 100. Because we don't need to affect the width, because that's sort of what our overlap's doing. It should come out here, about there. Nice. Let's see one more time. Yeah. I think I'm possibly going to drop that down to maybe like 108, just a bit subtler. I'm going to do it a bit heavier on the 852 part. So I'd say that's text part 1 done. Let's move across to text 8 and sort of repeat the process. So this is a good refresher point. Tracking. Turn on our keyframe. So before we hit about here, at this point, come inwards. Another point that I would actually like to share at this point is, you see how at the moment my movements, like I've got a solid part from the right hand side. If you have an issue where yours is moving from the opposite side, or you want to move from the opposite side, just change the paragraph part. So if you change the paragraph to the other side, you see how the box comes to the right. Control Z that, put that back to normal. So just as good FYI, because that paragraph's doing good, easily catch you out. So come in, hit, and squish inwards. Is that about right? So, oh no, it's squishing too soon. So squish inwards. Hold for a second, and then it's going to come out and tag it back, and tag back. So hit, squish, and shoot back out, tag back. At this point as well, actually, softly come back down to 0. And fall into place. Alright, let's have a watch. Squash, knockout, excellent. One more time, squash, knockout. Yeah, I mean, maybe I could even come a bit further in. Shall I have a look? In fact, let's leave that one there. Build up slowly over here to show like that increased strength. Cool. Excellent, excellent. Right, I'm going to do the same thing. Add a skew. And it is almost ready. I'm almost happy with this. Same thing, set up our keyframes, move forward to about the part where we hit, and at this point it's going to skew that way because it's been hit and we're flying. I've not got my keyframes turned on, how annoying. Cool, alright, rectified that. So 0, don't start skewing yet. In fact, start skewing about here. Skew. And come back on yourself. And movement. So I mean, this might take a bit of tweaking to look perfect. And then come back down to 0. Alright, let's have a look. One more time. Nice. You know what? Actually thinking about it, I think we're going too far in because it doesn't look like we're hitting it with that much power. So I'm going to soften that tracking amount here. Maybe take that down to minus 32. Just like 4 of it, and then minus 37. Should be a bit softer now. And what I'll probably do as well in here is bring this right point a bit closer. So I mean, once I've got my scale done over here, and take this, hit, scale upwards, and then come back down. Whoa, we're scaling up actually way too far. About 112 should do it. There's a point actually where the two sort of overlaps, I think. Squash. Yeah, this part where the two overlaps, and I really want to just rectify that real quick. Here. No, it's here actually, isn't it? Let's just take these, I think, and move them a frame. Frame left, and we'll actually just drop it a little bit to make it slightly less obvious. And I think they skew. Is it skewer actually? Yeah, skew's fine. Cool, and now we have that subtle bounce. And if we were really finicky, we could jump into the graph editor a bit and maybe tweak it all. But I would say for the most part, I'm fairly happy with this. We'll watch it one more time. Yeah. So actually, it is quite a side-to-side balance, but I do feel like he pushes it out, and the tutorial should maybe go a bit further. So let's try that. Let's have a quick look at that. So it's this point here, isn't it? Because we're pushing off screen. What I'm going to do real quick is actually just pre-comp these. So right-click, pre-compose. That way I can grab the whole thing, move it a bit right. Double click into here. Control K. So we've got the chop off. I'm just going to drag these up so we can see it all. Cool. Go back to our comp. And now, oh wait, no, we've got a problem. We've got a problem. P. We're not far enough off screen now. But it's cool. We can fix that. All right. Yeah. Looking good. Will motion blur work on these? Let's find out. Ooh, it does. But does it look good or not? We'll have to find out once it renders itself. And go. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Apart from the endpoint, just gotta tweak this. It's too not central enough for me. Gotta scale them down a little bit as well. So that way. Right, that's good. When we bounce out. Ooh, we're not actually going off screen. So that's good too. And yeah, I mean, at this point now, it's just if you want to sort of make any sort of tweaks and changes, yeah, maybe make the background look a bit better. New light. I'm just going to put light in there because that always looks real good. I'll go over lighting and stuff another time. But for now, I'll go over that in this stuff in a bit more detail. For now, I just wanted to give it that sort of vignette look. Excellent. And it would be kind of nice to give it the A52 a shadow maybe, but no. All that stuff can be done at your own leisure, because for the most part we're done. We've applied our squash and stretch, and we've got our bounce using the skew and the tracker, and overall I think our text looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Cool. Alright guys, thanks for watching.